guys, I'm going to send you now a series of lessons which leading to exercise 4. And the first one is about surds. I think we mentioned the word surds in grade 9, but we don't deal with that too much. So what is a surd? Surd is basically, let's say, square root of 5. Okay? If I give you square root of 5 is not an integer number. In fact, it's an irrational number. Square root of 4 is 2, but square root of 5 is 2 point something. It's an irrational number. So often we don't, sometime maybe grade 8, 9 will ask you to write in 2 decimal places, but really from then onward we normally just leave it in that form. That's called the surd form, square root of 5. But we can dress that surd in many ways. So I can have, instead of square root 6, I can have 2 times square root 6. Can you see that? Yeah, 2 times square root 6. That's still a surd. It's 2 times square root 6, okay? Now, what we're going to do now, we're going to learn how to solve these little expressions, surd expression. So 2 times square root 6 plus 3 times square root 6 is, what do you reckon? It's easy. Imagine that is x. So 2x plus 3x is 5x. So it will be 5 times square root 6. That's it. That's how it is. Okay? Right? 8 square root 5 minus 12. Hang on. Maybe just to make sure that I made myself clear. What is 2 square root 6? It means 2 times square root 6. Okay? Sorry, I didn't really say that. But 2 square root 6, like 2x, is 2 times square root 6. Okay? Now I've got 8 square root 5 minus 12 square root 5. So it's 8 minus 12 will be minus 4 square root 5. Okay? Easy, isn't it? This is very easy, listen. Okay? 2 square root 3 times square root 7. Okay, now what do we do? That's a little bit different. I've got 2 different surds. Okay? So what I'm going to do is work that rule, a rule that we learn in reverse. If you remember, I don't know if you can see it here, I'll write it. There was a rule that if we have a, b, all that square root, okay, that will be equal to square root a times square root b. Remember that? That was last year. Okay? So now, normally last year I worked from here to there. Now, I'm going to work from here back to here. So square root 3 times square root 7 is square root 21, right? Square root of 3 times 7 inside the square root. So that's square root 21. But I mustn't forget the 2. So that's 2 times square root 21. Okay? Next one. Easier. Square root of 3 square. Okay, well that's really square root 3 times square root 3, which is 3, isn't it? Okay? Because the square root is an inverse function. You're going to learn that later. We're going to use inverse function of square. Okay? Forget about that. We'll learn a bit later. Okay? Square root 3 square is simply 3. Okay? What about if I have 2 times square root 3, all that square? So, okay, we learned that rule that if you have to square those things inside the bracket, we square each one of them. So it's going to be 2 square times square root 3 square, which we just did now. We know what it is. I want to see I'm not getting out here. It's going to be 4 times 3, it will be 12. See the 12, you can see the 12, okay? So 4 times, we've done that already, that's 3. So 4 times 3 is 12. Okay? And then the last one, we've got this one. Can you see it? 2 plus 2 divided by square root 2. Now there's kind of 2 ways of doing it. One which is better than the other, but I'll just show you. So one thing I can say, okay, I'm going to get a least common denominator. So the least common denominator is square root 2. And then because this is like 2 divided by 1, I have to time it. So it will be 2 times square root 2 plus 2. Okay? And, you know, this is really what's the, what do you call it? The book wrote it as the final answer. But I would disagree. You know, I don't think it's really good. So I just want to, you know, I would just writing it because that's what the book did. But I would do it in a different way and get a bit further on. Okay, so the 2 I'm going to leave as it is. Now, what is 2 divided by square root of 2? Okay, what is 2? I can write down 2 as square root 2 squared. Okay, just like here, I knew that square root 3 squared is 3. That means that I can write 3 as square root 3 squared. So 2 is square root 2 squared. And I divide by square root 2. Okay. I'll write the 2 the same way. What is square root 2 squared? It's square root 2 times square root 2 divided by square root 2. You can see what I can do now, isn't it? Get my red pen. Okay? You've missed my red pen, isn't it? Okay? Die, cancel them out. Okay? And what do we have left? We've got 2. You can't see that. Right here. We've got 2 plus square root 2. Okay? So that's really the final answer. Now, the book it wasn't wrong what they did, but they shouldn't have stopped there. They should carry on. This is more simplified. I've got nothing in the denominator. Okay, our next couple lessons are about special angles, and they will require you'll need to understand these surds to work in these special angles. Okay, see you then.